Welcome to another episode of the Good News Bay podcast, where we are making Bay County brighter, one conversation at a time. Join me now as we jump into a conversation, an entertaining conversation with Matt and Griff Griffitts. We're talking about kind of back in the day. Like, we're at a place now, we'll talk about this in just a few minutes, but we're to a place where there's still shoulder seasons, but we've almost got it year round.
Yeah, very close.
I remember as a teenager, like, I would go out, and I only did this a couple of times, but in the wintertime, I'd fish some of the ponds on the beach.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was dead. I mean, it was a ghost town.
You could take a nap in Front Beach Road in the middle of the winter. And
did your dad, some of the side jobs that he had, was that partly to cover the non-shoulder seasons?
Yeah, absolutely. It was a 90-day season back then. It was really from about, Memorial Day to Labor Day. And he did everything he could to shoulder those seasons. I mean, it started out at 13 rooms living on the property, and we, as he said, begged, borrowed, and plead until we grew it almost to 100 units before we sold them. A lot of blood, sweat, and tears put into there, and a lot of, like you said, he did everything he could on the side. Hotel business was just part of Dad's little. He was a risk taker. He had a T-shirt shop, and he opened the
gas station.
Yeah, gas stations. He opened the first rental store on Panama City Beach that was focused on heavy equipment rentals. But it was also the first VHS rental on Panama City Beach.
Oh, boy.
So in the early 80s, we were renting, you could rent an engine hoist, and you could also go rent, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. So he was just constantly trying to, his entrepreneurial spirit was big, and he was always out there trying to do it.
He was brave. He made decisions that this day and age, I'd be scared to death.
Nervous wreck. And I laugh about it. I'm like, God, I can't believe he did some of the stuff he did. But it took a lot of guts. I love to talk about the kind of the business mindset and the entrepreneurial spirit, because this is something that you see that I've gotten to see behind the scenes as a trend many times in people that have worked hard for long periods of time and tried a lot of things, some that worked and some that didn't work as well. And specifically with the podcast, selfishly, I'll tell you this, the previous episode we did was with Allan Branch.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of entrepreneurs. He's done a lot of things.
Many of them have been very good. And some of them didn't work out as well.
Absolutely.
And then previous to that, we did an interview with Cody and with Zach. Mm-hmm. Another story where Zach tells of his daddy. Yeah. And then also being young and working so hard through restaurants. Yeah. And I think people need to know this about Bay County, about the people that are here. Before we move more in, because I want to talk some more about your dad, but before we do that, each of you tell me about Laura and the kids, and then you, Patrice, and the kids.
So, my wife is a local girl too. Met her in junior high school at Jenks. We kind of went our own separate ways. She went to the University of Alabama. Loses her mind every football season. Don't really know who she is because she's so enveloped into Nick Saban and his world.
She's not the only one.
I know. I understand.
Somewhere out there, they're all saying "Roll Tide."
Yeah, she'll scream it loud and proud. But I went after FSU. She went to Alabama. We came back. We kind of rekindled, a little flirtatious relationship we always had. This October will be 25 years of marriage. Very proud of that. Got
kids?
Yep. Got a 24-year-old daughter that lives in New York City as a marketing director for a healthcare company.
Oh, my.
Yeah. Moved up there about 3 weeks ago. Super proud of her living out her bucket list.
Yeah.
Just hoping it's a real cold winter and she wants to come back to the South to be near her daddy next year. But no, we're very proud of her. She's super, super talented, hard worker. She was born 12 weeks early. She weighed 2 pounds, 14 ounces at birth. Okay. They scared us to death with all the issues that could have happened. Back then, she was born in Pensacola. Gulf Coast didn't have a NICU unit back then. So we lived in the Ronald McDonald house as two young married couple with a little sick baby. And here she is at 25 and thriving and doing great. So we're super proud of that. Got a 20-year-old daughter, 21-year-old here that will be 22 Thursday. Mm-hmm. Be the 22 on Thursday. And she's an esthetician in town. She does facials and chemical peels and all those things. And so, yeah, very, very blessed.
Patrice and I have been married 8 years.
Yep.
We're a blended family. We've got 3 kids between us. We've got Kaylee is 21. She's in school, finishing up hopefully this spring. At Troy, she's going to be a behavior analyst. She works with autistic children.
Awesome.
She's actually she lives here, but she's doing her online schooling. She's an RBT currently, which is kind of the lower level of that. It's a therapist versus an analyst sort of thing. Loves what she does. Loves work with kids. She's got a gift for it. It's really cool to see. Calvin is 20. He's 20 today. Actually, we're going to dinner tonight for his birthday.
Hey, happy birthday, Calvin! Calvin. See this.
So
Surprised
he's
made it to 20.
He's an HVAC tech. Works for Russo's, which I think does a lot of work here at the church. Calvin sent me some pictures from the roof here or other areas. He does great at what he does. He's going to be super successful and probably make more money than all of us one day in that field.
Yeah.
Braden is 15. He'll be 16 in 3 weeks, a month, September 19th. So we're very excited and scared to death. Yeah. It's one of those, it's an exciting time for all kids when they reach that age. But mom and dad, while it's nice not to haul them around, it's a scary time. So he's at Arnold. He's in the collegiate studies program out there. Does school's easy for him. I never had that gift, but thankfully he does, and so we're excited to see where that takes him. So
well, you guys obviously both have, and you do. You've got fine families. You're
very
real
blessed.
people like the rest of us that have dogs that don't mind all the time. Let me dig in a little bit about your dad because people may not know, and some would probably like to know how you guys are doing. But your father passed
December 3rd.
Yep, and he passed. He got sick with COVID.
Yep, he did.
And I think it's important for people to know that you guys can relate that way.
Absolutely.
I don't think everybody realizes the struggle sometimes as far as funerals and memorial service, all these kinds of things, and so. It was a real bright spot here. What date did they do the dedication of the Parkway? You remember? Was it March? I have it
6 weeks.
May 12th. May 12th. Okay, is that right?
May 12th. That sounds right.
And I got good notes here.
I know.
And so that served for you guys kind of as a memorial that you never got to have.
Yeah,
it was very nice. Very nice.
And so. One is it's really neat because I don't know that we've said this, but your dad was the mayor at Panama City Beach for 18 years, like 82 to 2000.
That's right.
And there's been this big transformation really over the last 20 to 30 years on the beach where it's kind of grown up from just being,
right.
I don't know if it's sand and mosquitoes or gnats, but certain times of years it can be rough.
It can be.
But it's a full grown place now with a great and bright future. And even as we talk, because I want you to give us some geography on the Parkway, but before we talk traffic and the meaning, a couple things that your dad kind of has, it's part of his legacy. Arnold High School was something that he was very instrumental in.
Yeah.
Frank Brown Park.
Frank Brown Park.
For new folks that don't know about Frank Brown Park, isn't that where the sports complex is at? Essentially, or somewhere close to that, or not really?
Well, there's two separate. That was the original sports complex on the beach.
I played ball there a long time ago.
Yeah.
But it's come
Anybody
along.
That played in Bay County played there at some point.
When you were growing up, it was 2 fields, 3 fields, and it was a little.
That was it.
It was a little just field, and that land was secured through the city council in the '80s from the St. Joe Corporation. It was timberland. They secured that to build a recreational park on the beach for the kids.
Well, and that. So he was a part of the Frank Brown Park itself.
The Philip Griffitts building in that park there, which is where the basketball courts are.
And that's the one that's connected to Boys Club and Girls Club, right?
That's right. Mm-hmm. That's right. That building. He after Frank Brown Park was kind of in its infancy stages, there was a lot of, you call them latchkey kids. There was the kids on the beach that were dropped off after school, and there wasn't much for them to do, but probably get in trouble or go off and so. The city council and dad worked with the Boys and Girls Club to say, let's create this after school program on the beach. And after they did that, they named the building after dad, kind of in recognition. And he was, this was, 30 years ago.
Everybody teased him at the time. They always said, they thought they didn't name stuff after somebody while they were alive. Is that a bad sign for you? It was always a joke.
Well, I always teased him. I said, what happens if you get in trouble? They're going to take your name off? Like, what happens there? And he, I'm not. But so the Frank Brown Park was the beginning of sports on the beach. It was when I grew up out there. There were 2 fields, and we played ball, and it was The parents were the coaches, were the umpires, were the booster club, were the whole thing, you know.
You know, I probably am amiss because have missed an opportunity because I waited this long to tell people like who these men are other than just names, because some know you, some don't. Griff, you're presently serving on the county commission.
That's right.
Is it District 5?
District 5, my 5th year on the county commission.
And essentially, for those of us that are novices, District 5 is going to be kind of the beach area, right?
The entire beach. That's right.
And one of the things, I mean, it is fun to have the brotherly banter, but Matt, you served this past year on the Panama City Beach Chamber of Commerce. You both actually have, which I think you're the only family together that have done that.
That's right.
But that gives you unique insight into the business side of things. And you did it at a unique time.
No, that's an
like during
understatement.
pandemic. I mean, I was looking forward to you being in that role, and I didn't never get to see you. And so as we continue to talk Parkway, I mean, it's going to make me asking you questions about how traffic moves from place to place. All of a sudden, okay, he's got background and sees how this works.
Right.
So they opened up the Parkway. They named it after your dad.
Yeah.
There's several segments of that thing.
There is.
If I'm new to town or not familiar so much with the beach side, what is that? It's like back beach road?
Yeah. So for ever and a day, it's been called, we were going to call it Back Beach Road, and then it was the Bay Parkway. It was kind of this ever evolving dream, you know, have this third corridor of transportation up in east and west down the beach. When it finally, you know, I guess when the rubber met the road, when it finally started evolving, it was still going to be called Bay Parkway. And then after Dad passed, St. Joe, who had a direct involvement because it's all their land out there, the city of Panama City Beach, which is directly involved because most of it's in their city limits. And then the county, which we have a small segment, we're all sitting around the table and, you know, going through plans. And then Dad passes and they called me and said, hey, you weren't at the meeting today, but we've decided to name the road after your dad. And it was just like, oh, you know, that's touching. It's very touching.
Did it mean something to your mom?
Oh,
wow.
Yeah, to everyone in the family.
Yeah,
That's forever. That's something that, you know, you helped us with kind of a funeral, a small little family funeral.
I did.
We didn't have the ability to do a big send off for my dad, who we think was larger than life. So many friends, always joking and cutting up, a total prankster. Would not have wanted a weepy memorial type service. This is a guy who would want people.
I just got this thing and I don't know how to make it quiet.
Make people laugh and have a good time like that, you know, in the middle of interviews with phones ringing. And so it's great to.
He's going to start picking it.
It was great to have that testament. But to go back to the Parkway. So the Parkway is in 3 phases. The western segment is completed from Highway 79 to Nautilus Street, which for people on the beach is about where Carrabba's is, or the Busy Bee, the new Busy Bee. Today at the County Commission, we approved the PD&E, which is the Planning, Development, and Environmental for Phase 3, which will be the eastern segment. That will run from Chip Seal Parkway to Clara Drive. Chip Seal Parkway is where the new sports park facility is located.
Okay.
So that'll be the east and west segments. The center segment, which is Phase 2, there's lots of neighborhoods involved, and that will be something that's an ever-evolving conversation with DOT, the county, and the city over the next few years to figure out a plan with minimal impacts on those neighborhoods to try to make this expressway, the Philip Griffitts, you know, Parkway, something that can move traffic east and west up and down the beach. Right now, Back Beach Road is rated for around 44,000 cars a day. In the summer months, we were seeing 80,000 a day on average. So traffic's bad when you double the capacity of anything. So that's why there was a lot of cars out there. We had the greatest summer the beach has ever had. So some of these problems are, they're good things. They're kind of a good problem to have sometimes.
You know, historically, those that grew up working at the paper mill, you know, had kind of a smell. And those that worked there and that have family that work there here in Bay County would say things like, you know what it smells like, and it smells like money to me.
It smells like money.
Well, when you go out there on the weekends and there's this big turnover of people coming and people going,
looks like money.
It looks like money to me. And you say, well, I'm not, you know, we're not supposed to be about money. Well, I don't think we're supposed to just be about money. Like, that's not it. But as a community, there's some amenities that we want. We want good roads.
The public in 2016 voted for a 0.5-cent infrastructure sales tax. The tourists pay a majority of that. At the county, we collect between $12 and $15 million a year in 0.5-cent tax, and we use that money to leverage other money. So we'll go to the state, like for instance, today, that PD&E that we got for that phase 3, we put in $500,000.
Right.
State put in $2 million. So you use that money to grow it. We turn 12 to 15 into 25 to 30 every year, and that's for roads, bridges, sidewalks, stormwater. That's something that helps everybody in the county. It really does. That's a quality of life that people don't really see. That it's super important.
It's hard for me to articulate how all the pieces kind of came together, like timeline wise, and I'm not sure that we even can do that in the framework of the show that we're doing. But what I do know is that at a time that Hurricane Michael hit, there's a bunch of cost involved on a whole lot of different levels with that. We've seen an uptick in our economy locally. Like we've seen capacity all through the season. Part of it's the sports complex and the wisdom of decisions that were made.
One of those hidden blessings you don't understand at the time.
Yep.
You look back and you think,
the
wow,
silver lining. Yeah. The Michael, I can remember sitting in the EOC week 10 days after Hurricane Michael, and the city or the county manager from Monroe County, Key West, was sitting there with us because everyone around the state was helping us. And they had gone through Irma 18 months earlier. And I said, tell me what I was chairman. I was like, you got to tell me what I got these next few months. What am I going to deal with? And he was like, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And he laid out all these situations that they had faced and all that. And then at the end of the conversation, he looked at me and he goes, look, it's bad. He said, but you're going to look back at a time. And he said, and you're going to realize that there is a silver lining in all this. And he said, it might be 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. He said, but at the end of the day, you're going to look back and realize it made you stronger and you have more resiliency, more redundancy, and you're way better prepared for anything that ever happens again.
Well, from a business standpoint, after you had this huge influx of contractors and roofers and, everybody initially you're on edge a little bit because there is that shady,
stormtroopers.
Yeah, but they're not all bad. A lot of them are here to save the day, so to speak. I think back to
the volume's beyond what anybody can do.
I spent 8 years on the Chamber of Commerce out there in different roles, and then moving on to the exec board as you kind of serve your 4 years until I was the chairman of the board last year. Well, 18 was somewhat of a wash there at the end of the year. 19, we go into it, and everybody's recovering, and we had this huge influx of new membership in the Beach Chamber of Commerce of all these roofers, contractors, and the initial thought was, well, we'll take their money. We'll see how they respond. They'll probably leave. They'll all jump ship next year after the roofs are all on, and it's been this. We've lost very little. A lot of them have set up a permanent shop here. They've set up camp. They realize the business community here is so strong that there's a bond that they've created that they just have continued to work, and it's been impressive to watch.
I was on vacation this year. We took a little vacation in North Carolina. While we were there, we went whitewater rafting, and one of the people in our rafting trip, he had a flow-grown hat. I like that.
Yeah,
I'm kind of proud for being from Florida, aren't y'all?
Absolutely.
And so when I saw the hat, I had to ask him. And he's a guy that's been in town a couple of years that moved here from another place and is in construction. So they're still coming.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. This is paradise. And now, I think before the hurricane, Bay County was really at the tip of the spear. We had with the new airport and all this growth going on. And then we got kind of, called a little setback. But we are back. We're like a dragster. We got tires spinning and smoke coming out top. We are moving fast down the track right now.
We are.
And
this new hospital coming to the beach there that's going to be at the corner of Philip Griffitts Parkway.
Yeah, Tallahassee Memorial with Florida State Medical School. It's going to be a teaching hospital. These are things that are going to change the whole county. I believe right now we have 10 years to work as hard as we can. And if we work as hard as we can, in 10 years, we'll be able to go, wow, look at what's happened and look at the results, and everyone will benefit from that.
One of the things that I think that is very productive that's happened in the last 10 years is kind of a movement towards a feeling that if the beaches do well, all of Bay County does well, and that if Panama City does well, all of Bay, and so it's not got to be one or the other. I've heard you say many times, Griff, that a rising tide floats all boats.
That's exactly right.
And one of the things that I've learned along the way into different meetings that I've been in is this idea that the beaches in many ways are the face of Bay County. I mean, we're diversified more now than we used to be with the Coast Guard contract and Eastern Shipbuilding and the military. I mean, all those things are good. But we're talking about good news. But I look at God's provision through, for instance, even with the hurricane, there's this, the beaches didn't get it and we got it. Well, God sustained us through the beaches and that income.
Absolutely.
Let me ask you this, because I wanted to make the point that all these folks move into town. Mm-hmm. They're a part of the solution, not a part of the problem, because they're all bringing dollars with them, tax dollars, and they're helping us carry the load. Mm-hmm. How many visitors do we have in the course of a year?
About 17 million.
Oh my word, 17 million. See, like I'm a preacher, right? And so I'm like, I don't need to go overseas because, they're here from all over the world, which is really cool. I mean, we do need to go overseas, but all of that is constructive. It's going a good way. I'm seeing the different District 5 with all the other districts work together.
Oh, yeah.
In that you're saying work as hard as we can in the coming days with Bay County. I mean, all the districts are working together. The municipalities are working together.
Yeah. Oh, no. I think we've always had a very good, strong relationship. But truly, after Michael, when you had to sit in a room, and really not even a room, when we'd go to Tallahassee together or Washington, D.C. together, and you have the mayor from Springfield, Mayor Hammond or Mayor Brudnicki or Mayor Nelson from Lynn Haven, these guys that are we're all in it together. Nobody knows, as you said, if you were in North Carolina on vacation and they say, where are you from? You don't say I'm from Bay County. You say I'm from Panama City. And the first thing they think of is Panama City Beach because that's what we're known for.
And it used to be spring break.
It used to be spring break.
It's interesting to see how that's evolved.
That evolution of that is gone. And that the spring break is dead and gone in Bay County or Panama City Beach. That will never come back. It's not needed. We've rebounded to the point the bed tax revenues far exceeded what anything March and April ever produced back in the day. So that argument is dead and gone. The future is so bright on Panama City Beach. The bed tax revenues this year are going to exceed more than we've ever expected. We have 5 pennies of bed tax on Panama City Beach. So for people that don't know, the bed tax is only charged to people who stay in hotels on Panama City Beach. Okay. The bed tax was created by the state legislature to be used for the marketing and promotion of a destination. That's it. It's not used to pave roads. It's not used to, build stormwater and all that. Destination, promotion, and marketing, that is it. So the bed tax is 5 pennies on every dollar you spend. 1 penny is dedicated to beach renourishment. So that generates... 1 penny used to generate around $4 million a year. This year, that 1 penny will be close to 6. That same penny in Walton County, 1 penny in Walton County generates close to $8 million a year. So you can see the difference in rates versus Walton versus Bay. But we are slowly catching up. And this year wasn't slow. It was expedited. We are catching Walton County. I think the crowds over there are so dense. It's a very dense area. And those people that have been vacationing there might have driven over to Pier Park for shopping or a movie or dinner and went, wait a second, that house is just as beautiful as the one I'm renting over there. And it's 20% less. And there's really no difference. Like the beaches are just as beautiful here as they are 5 miles down the road. So I think we're starting to take some market share from those folks, that's our competitive set. That's a market that we want to take from. Those people that come to Walton County bring lots of money, disposable income to come down and spend, to shop, to eat. And like I said, that benefits everyone in Bay County. Mm-hmm. Everyone.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna hit you with several things quickly, and then I want to come back and ask you some questions about the chamber across. The spur or the airport. That is you ride by the old airport to avoid all this traffic, and where's it go? Where does it go to?
So that's really 388. So in the future, you're going to go. There'll be a roundabout in front of the airport, which I find a little concerning to have a roundabout running 65 miles an hour down 388. But I'm not a traffic engineer. That will run all the way to 79, and it will come out just about in front of where Latitudes, Margaritaville, the new St. Joe development's going. Okay. And the old part of 388 that everybody's driven will still remain the same, but that's where you will transfer that now.
Without going into it too deep, you said Latitudes, Margaritaville. Yeah. Just so these folks hear it, I've heard it, and I don't believe it anytime I hear it. Say it for me again. How many houses are they talking about and stuff?
3,500 in the first phase, 50,000 close in the build out. There are the first
50,000.
If that's
20 years from now.
Oh, we'll be dead and gone. We'll all be.
But 3,500 in the first phase.
First phase.
That's in my lifetime, right?
That will be very much in your lifetime. That will be in the first few years. They had 35. They had. Let's see. Let me get this right. They have 3,500 homes in the first phase. The first release of homes was, I think it was like 150 homes released, and they had 1,600 on the waiting list for those first 150 homes. They had 26,000 on the waiting list for the full package. And if you ever get the opportunity, it is amazing to go up there and see what they have done. The homes are beautiful. They are spectacular, and it's like a one-stop shop. You walk in and you say, all right, and it's like an iPad, but it's as big as a tabletop. I like that floor plan. I like that color. And you drag furniture around on the house, and you say, okay, that's my house. And then you walk into that room and you pick your lighting fixtures, and you walk into that room and you pick your cabinets, and you walk in that room and you pick your flooring, and you're done. And it's the one price, and it's shopped, and you get all the swimming pools and the amenities that go with it, and there'll be commercial. It's going to be a community, a huge community.
Of the 3,500 units, how many of those are in Bay County?
Every one.
And that's right there next to Walton County?
There'll be, that's right. The spur is, as
I think that's what you were talking about, right?
The spur, as you called it, which is really the realignment of 388. There might be, I don't know, maybe in our lifetime, another road that will go west of 79 over to Walton County. It will cross the Intercoastal Waterway around where Origins or Camp Creek is now. And that will be, the West Bay Parkway or an extension of the Philip Griffitts Parkway. We just don't know.
There's always been those jabs people take at St. Joe because they control. At one point,
they own a lot of land.
I'd heard a stat. It was like 70% of Florida was trees, and they owned 70% of those trees. I mean, it's just a crazy stat that they had at the time. But they don't mess up very often. They have a long-term plan. They stick with it, and they're going to be great for Bay County.
Yeah, they're great. I mean, we wouldn't have Pier Park. We wouldn't have had the new airport. We wouldn't have had Arnold High School. These are all things that St. Joe owned. The new Walsingham Academy, the new sports park, that was all St. Joe land donated for community causes. Yep. And really, so people say, well, they're going to monetize all this property. Well, darn, isn't that the American way to turn a profit for a company that's really a Fortune 500 company with a CEO in George Gonzalez that lives locally, has an office locally, can call him on the cell phone and go have coffee with him anytime, would be a great interview for you.
I would love to do that.
He is the nicest guy and does a jam up job and cares about Bay County.
Well, I'll say this. I've really, that I know of, never met the folks that are running St. Joe Company. I've met the people that are involved,
right?
But there's so much that I have seen that has been so beneficial to the community as a whole.
Oh yeah.
I also would suggest, and I'm a glass half full guy, and I think God's really blessed our area.
Mm-hmm.
For anybody that thinks there is a forgotten coast, and I'm just telling you, it's not only not forgotten, they know it's here, and you're going to have to beat them off with a stick.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly
because what you just described about the waiting list for a housing development,
it's amazing.
And then on top of that, how many people would you say come here every year?
17 million.
Oh my word. So 17 million are coming to visit. They've got all these people that are in line wanting to buy property. Fourth fastest growing airport. Whenever y'all were coming up, it was mostly drive-to destination. Absolutely, Alabama, Georgia. Some of these big folks are watching right now. Yeah. But now we've got direct flights from Nashville and Houston and all these different places.
That airport's reached capacity. It's over capacity. They're
they
going
have
to continue to grow.
I don't think people realize how many folks right now are working remotely and can live anywhere they want as long as there's an airport. Yep. And so we're seeing them come to the beach because the winters are. I'm trying to help you out right here. Is it Claire that's in New York?
And no, Katie's in New York.
Katie's in New York. I thought she was local.
Katie's in New York.
Hang on, Katie. We want you to know that this is really amazing destination down here all year long, especially when it's really cold in New York.
That's right. Come home, Katie.
I'm just advocating for you. So this is really incredible, and we haven't even talked about the east side, and if people want to go hear more of just the development overall, they can go back to our first episode with General McQueen.
Yeah, fantastic guy.
Yep.
Another blessed to have a guy like that in Bay County.
Would you echo that now that we've gotten a lot of the planning out of the way and a lot of gathering of the dollars, giving of the plans, going through the hoops federally that you have to, we're starting to actually see things take place? I mean, is that?
Yes. No, you're going to, and over the next few years, you're going to see a lot of things take place, and it's really going to be federally funded projects, what they call 428 projects.
Have to be the air base of the future, right?
That has to be, yeah. But you're going to see it in Panama City and in Bay County. You're going to see, we're working, here's a great example. So after Hurricane Michael, we had all the shelters in the schools, right? And remember, the schools got blown up and there wasn't much left. So we shipped all the permanent sheltering people out to Arnold High School. The truth is, the schools are great, but they're not, long-term sheltering is not meant for schools. No. It's just not. I mean, a few days, let's get past the storm and get everybody back to their business. Or we couldn't do that. Their homes were gone, so they were stuck in the shelter. We're looking at creating an indoor sports facility out at the sports park, but it has multi-purpose. It will work as a hardened shelter for post-storm operations like this. So we wouldn't have to take over a school. We could put the population, or we could stage, I mean, people didn't realize, but after the hurricane at the EOC, within 4 or 5 days, we went from a 45-person operation to 900 living on site. 900 people, eating, bathing, sleeping, the whole deal. A small city at the EOC. And those are incident command teams from around the country. The EOC is fantastic, but you also have those staging sites for Gulf Power.
For anybody that doesn't know, EOC is what?
Emergency Operations Center.
I knew that. You knew that.
The Emergency Operations Center, which is a fantastic partnership with Gulf Coast State College up in Southport.
Yes.
It is a beautiful facility that serves a very good purpose. But so we learned a lot of these things that after Michael that we're trying to create these projects. So when these federal dollars start rolling in, you're going to see new buildings like Glenwood and with General McQueen. You're going to see a 428 project in Glenwood. It'll be new gyms and new buildings. You're going to see in the beach, Springfield's going to get new operational centers. Lynn Haven's going to get new buildings, all with federal dollars. So that's kind of that silver lining we talk about. It takes a long time to evolve. FEMA is slow. It is I said it for
understatement.
Yeah, I've said it for.
It's government, though, man. That's how that is.
It is government, and it's ripe with fraud in the FEMA, and it's the bureaucracy is very impressive, and that's not meant to be a compliment.
No,
but at the end of the day, the relationship it's a very long relationship, and you have to kind of forge through it, and it's like work. You're kind of working with these people, and they change what they call the FOC, the field operative guy. He changes every few months. You get a different contact person. So you have to constantly evolve and work through these relationships while making sure the history is still relevant and know that the goal is still the same.
To evolve, and the beach started to grow, and they created the Panama City Beach Chamber of Commerce. Mm-hmm. The Bay Chamber of Commerce has a mission that they deal heavily with. They've got the Military Affairs Committee, which is a huge blessing to all the bases in our area.
Yep.
They've been a big part of that. So they both work together. There's twice a year that there's a joint a gathering of both chambers. A lot of people are members of both, but it's both of them have really grown and found a lot of success here recently, and the networking that comes out of those two has just been vital to the business community.
I'm not being a true business guy from that perspective. I don't know for sure, but it seems like, I mean, we probably, even as a church, we're in the Bay County Chamber. I have been tended to get involved in the Panama City Beach Chamber. And it seems like most businesses that are operating in the Bay County area are encouraged to be in both for a variety, because the networking matters.
Sure.
Is that fair?
Absolutely. That's a big piece of it. And that's, while they both have a role in the governmental affairs piece of it, and taking care of the businesses and trying to work with your county leaders to make sure that the business community is put on the forefront with those when the big decisions are made.
Yeah,
it's a big piece of it is that networking, and make sure that when the new guy comes in town, he's able to get involved. It provides an avenue for everybody.
I wanted to mention this, just kind of stir it up a little bit. You guys, you hooked me up with a little bit of swag.
We did. Of course, since I was one of the ones that talked you into doing this crazy podcast.
Yep.
I've been keeping up, and I listen. Saw our the young guns, Zach and Cody, brought you some swag.
They did,
and
they did.
And not to be outdone,
yep.
we had to bring you some as well.
Well, you brought my favorite color, man, camo.
I love it. Bass fishing hat.
I thought you might like that.
I will have to. I'll have to see if this one will catch as many fish as the Think Real Estate one does. But
now I did see a baby picture of you hugging a bass on.
That may or may not have been photoshopped, but it's made for many laughs.
That was a good
many comments on that.
It did. We needed some laughs yesterday.
Yeah, we did.
Listen, we're going to run out of time if we're not careful. But there's a couple of things I want to throw in here, and I know we're getting a little bit long, but you and I were talking. We had Tropical Storm Fred yesterday. This will actually air next week. It's broken all of our hearts that some folks we've had a lot of flooding.
We have.
And I asked you specifically, what good news can we give people if they have gotten flooding? There's some resources, perhaps.
There is some resources available. If you do have some damage at your home, recovery@baycountyfl.gov. If you'll just email, document your damages, it helps us work with FEMA. If we reach a certain threshold, then a lot of these services will flow into town that can help these folks, whether it's SBA loans, whether it's flood cut loans, lots of little things that can really step in and help these people. Lynn Haven received probably close to 9 inches of rain.
Yep.
And so there's a lot of areas of Lynn Haven that really went underwater. And look, Lynn Haven is prone to flooding, always has been, and probably sections of it will always be prone to flooding. But it's best to try to help these folks out as best we can. And yesterday was a heavy rain event for those folks. It dumped a lot of water. The dam road at one point was complete. There were many cars that were broke down in the dam road that could not get out of the water situation. So we're blessed to be able to.
For those of us that don't know what that is, I live up that way, and I have trouble saying that myself. That is the road here in Bay County that goes across Deer Point Dam.
Lake.
He did not say a cuss word.
I
promise you, that's what we all call it locally.
Dam road.
I'm helping you out, bro.
Come on.
No, it's good. It's good. It's what we call it.
DAM.
That is right. That is right.
Deer Point Lake. DAM. Right.
Laura's been real involved, your wife Laura, over the years with Anchorage Children's Home, locally owned or locally operated, locally funded. When your father passed, when Mr. Griffitts passed, monies that were donated in lieu of flowers, et cetera, memorial, they were given to Anchorage Children's Home. They're somebody that we support and love as a church. Obviously, your family believes in what they do.
It's easy to support their mission.
Yeah, Brooke and Joel are angels on earth. There's no doubt what the work they do is a testament. I would encourage anybody in Bay County who has a soft heart or a passion for children to reach out to those folks at Anchorage, volunteer, take a tour. You will not leave without a tug at your heart on how to help, because they do amazing things. So after Dad passed, the family said, this is an easy decision. Let's raise a little bit of money. And I think they raised, close to $30,000, $25,000 or something from donations around the community, from family and friends. And that's something that legacy is just as good as the road. That's something that will live on for a long time. That helps a lot of kids.
Well, that's not only extremely generous, but I know that they'll appreciate. We'll put the link in there if people want to know more info about Anchorage. I wanted to mention briefly, we've intentionally not made it the part of the main part of the podcast, but I think it's worth people noting. Jay Trumbull is about to term limit out. Is that the right term?
That is.
He has been serving at the state representative level. You've announced that you're going to run for that seat. That is like next year.
August 23rd of next year. So over a year away. That's right. Yeah.
So you got a lot of work to do between now and then on the Bay County side.
I do. Representative Trumbull and Senator Gaynor are they're loyal Bay County servants. They are really passionate about this place.
Tell me real quickly, that District 6, what region is that?
It's really from about just north of the airport south. It doesn't even include the entire county.
Okay.
Now all that is going to change. We're in a redistricting year because of the census.
Yeah.
So right now, each representative, there's 120 representatives in the state. They represent single member districts. That's 157,000 people per district.
Okay.
It's going to go up to 179,000. So the latest census data we got just this past week shows Bay County at around 175. So we think the district will kind of swell out and take in most of the county.
We were, and I hate to just, you said something about the census. It's fascinating to me because I was concerned that we didn't get the numbers we wanted to get for the census, knowing that would be something that people looked at for funding for about the next
10 years.
Didn't that turn out better than we thought it would?
It did, 3% growth. Now, there's certain parts of the community that did lose population,
right?
But other parts grew. So about a 3% growth, considering what we faced, is I think a home run.
Yep.
I really do. We've been very lucky with that. But that's all evolving right now. That data will work out, and then in January and February, the legislature will redraw the lines for the entire state.
Cool. Never done this before. Want to ask you real quick? Y'all are Bay County guys. What is it?
Born and raised.
Name 3 things that you love about Bay County.
Oh gosh.
Just they don't have to be your favorite 3. Just 3 things, real quick. Good news story, man. Good news, Bay. Before we go off there,
we live in paradise. That's an easy answer.
We live in paradise.
Yeah, we travel all over the world trying to find that, and it's here.
Well, you strike me as like you. I had this stereotype that beach guys just like the beach. Now you're living on this side of the bridge.
I am on this side of the bridge
county now.
But I found out like you duck hunt and you camp out in Howard Creek area. I mean,
that's what's a beautiful part of Northwest Florida is you can get on the boat this morning and go offshore and catch fish. You can go to Deer Point and catch a bass.
Yep.
Or you can go to the river and get in the woods, and
you fish some too. I know you like to on vacation.
No, I love to fish. We're just outdoor guys. We've always been in the boat. But there's so many things about. Tom's hot dogs. Yeah, Tom's hot dogs. Christo's wings, the Gulf of Mexico, Econfina Creek. Red fishing in East Bay, red snapper fishing offshore, stone crabbing in our bay. I mean, the list goes on and on.
Folks new to Bay County need to be writing that stuff down and starting it. Adventure.
I'm going next weekend to St. Joe to go scalloping.
Scallop season opens.
Yeah.
Yesterday.
FWC.com. I think we can put a link. That's where you go to get regulations and information.
Get your saltwater fishing license and go scalloping.
If you live here in Bay County and you don't get outside and appreciate it, then you are missing out.
Fair enough.
Yeah, there are so many activities, but then we have the best restaurants. Golf, scuba diving. You name it.
I agree with all that.
Yeah. It's just that work stuff that gets in the way sometimes of all that fun. But
listen, I got a feeling we may have to chat again sometime. You've been so full of information. It's been good news. Found some things that I didn't know and some things that I was hoping to be able to hammer down on. So excited about you guys and what you're doing. Can't wait to try that swag out and see how lucky it is. But thank you so much for being on our podcast.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us. We appreciate you.
Thank you for listening to our podcast today. If you were encouraged by the good news, we would ask you to subscribe through Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, as well as YouTube. If you will subscribe, all new content will come your way. You'll get notified of it, and it'll help us to brighten Bay County. Thanks, guys.